It's 5 o'clock on a Wednesday and it's time for
Craig and Ryland's Magic TV Show.
I'm Craig.
I'm Ryland.
Welcome back to another review show right here on
Magic TV.
Now, we're back with another review show, 5 tricks. We're going to be fairly quick this week. You've got a big show tomorrow, haven't you? Four new tricks in your show that you've never done before. So you're going to be rehearsing like crazy tonight. Yeah. And you've got homework to do. Wah, wah, wah. You got homework? Oh, you're all right then. Have you? Homework?
I think I might do a bit of spellings.
A little bit of spellings, okay. Right. So we're going to try and keep this quick, but we're still doing 5 tricks this week. 5 tricks, 5 routines. Some of them are good, some of them not so good, but you're going to find out about all of them. So without further ado, let's go straight into this week's review show. So first up, we have Very Wild by Boris Wilde. And David Regal says it's a killer effect. Mark D'Souza says a visual kick in the head.
Card Shark.
Being put together by Card Shark. Yeah, Card Shark are a great company. 4 indifferent cards become 4 aces in the most magical way. Made on Phoenix Index poker playing cards for visibility. Another one. Amazingly simple. Simply amazing. There we go. This is a really cool trick. I don't want to say very much about it until you've seen the performance. Let's have a look at a performance of this, and then we'll talk about what we think. Yeah. So, Ryland, I'm going to show you a trick with 4 playing cards.
Okay.
Now, this is kind of like an observation test. I'm going to ask you some questions in a bit, and you're going to see if you get the questions right or not. I'm going to ask you 4 questions. If you get it right, you get 50 quid.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, first of all, let me show you the 4 cards. They've all got red backs. They're Phoenix design playing cards. They've all got red backs. But this one is a 7 of clubs. That's card number 1. Card number 2 is a 10 of hearts. Card number 3, which is this one, is the 5 of diamonds. And card number 4, which is this one, is the 8 of spades.
Okay.
4 cards. Now, you'll notice that there's 4 different suits. There's a spade, there's a diamond, there's a heart, and there's a club.
Okay.
4 cards just like that. Yeah?
Yeah.
So now this is where the questions begin. 4 questions. You get it right, 50 quid. Question number 1, what colour are the cards on the back?
Red.
Very good. You're a quarter of the way to winning 50 quid. Question number 2, how many cards are there?
4.
Correct. You're 50% of the way towards 50 quid. Question number 3, what are the suits on the cards?
Clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds.
You are 75% of the way to 50 quid. Final question, to get the 50 quid, what are the 4 cards?
There's a 7, an 8, a 10 and a 5.
So close, you almost won 50 quid. You got it wrong.
What?
Yeah, I mean, there are 4 cards. They are obviously red back cards. They are Phoenix design cards, but they're actually the 4 aces. That's what we've got. We've got the clubs, the hearts, the spades. I don't know how you got that wrong, but I get the 50 quid, and I get to do a big smile because I'm so clever, and you did not get the questions right.
No, not fair.
So that was Very Wild. I've always been a big fan of Boris Wilde. I think that he's really, really good. And this reminds me a little bit of NFW. If you I don't think you've ever seen NFW, but there's a routine called NFW where you've got 4 jokers and they turn into 4 aces, and at the end you show them fronts and backs. Very similar, but the handling is better at the beginning, because the problem with NFW is you can't show all of the jokers at the beginning, and you can get around it through presentation. This is, in my opinion, a much better version of that, because you show the 4 cards at the very beginning. They see a 10 of hearts, they see an 8 of spades, they see a 5 of diamonds, they see a 7 of clubs. You're showing the fronts and the backs of every single card very, very fairly, and then at the end the 4 aces appear. And you've got the 4 aces. Now, the aces can't really be examined, but because they're Phoenix cards and because of how the cards are designed, they could casually pick them up and look at them, and it wouldn't be too much of a problem. Also, the way that the cards have been prepared without giving too much away is revolutionary, in my opinion. It's very different to what I've seen before. Very, very good. The impact on that. I mean, you get a 20-minute tutorial from Boris talking about everything, and you get a full tutorial explaining everything. Boris is a really good teacher. Yeah. The idea of using it as an observation test, and hey, I'm going to give you 50 quid if you get these 4 questions right. That's just what I decided to do with it. But I think that would make a great opener in close-up. I think just taking 4 cards out your wallet, and you get a little wallet with it as well, so you get everything that you need to be able to perform this. Taking that out your wallet and then saying, hey, let me show you something, I'm going to give you a chance to win some money, that's always a really good hook. Plus points. It's no table required.
Yeah.
It can be done in the hands.
Yeah.
It's not quite an immediate reset, but it probably only takes about 10 seconds to reset between tables. 10, maybe 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. About 10 or 15 seconds. It's not examinable, but to be honest, because you're so clean with the handling and showing fronts and backs at the beginning and fronts and backs at the ends, I don't think you need to have them examined. And yeah, I mean, obviously, you could do this with a regular deck. You could have 4 aces on top of the deck. You could do a multi-shape shift. There's a million ways of doing this with a regular deck of cards. But what you have here is you have a way of doing it as a packet trick where they are absolutely staring at everything. They see every little thing. They see the cards, they see the fronts, they see the backs, they see everything, and it changes. It would be a nice lead-in to some card magic. I've always said that, packet tricks make a really good lead into card magic, because immediately when you bring a packet of cards out, you can see it's not your traditional pick a card trick. You haven't said much. What do you think?
I think it is pretty cool.
Have you forgotten how to speak?
No.
You forgot? Okay.
It is really good. I think my favourite part of it is probably when you're on the third question and then you're like, yes, you got the first one right, you got the second one right, you got the third one right. No, I can do this. Like, the last question's got to be easy. And you said, what are the cards? And I'm like, easy, 7, 5, 8, 10. And you're like, no, they're aces. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's a really fun presentation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And it just looks so super visual. Yeah. It's a commercial trick, let's be honest. This is a commercial trick. This is designed for a worker to do. It's very true what it says here. Very direct, very clean, maximum impact on the audience, and this transformation so amazing your spectators will pinch themselves. Easy to do, no technique required. I don't necessarily agree with that. There is some technique. It's not difficult, but you are having to do some handling. There is technique. It's not completely self-working, but it is very easy to do.
Yeah.
I personally don't think you'll do this. I'm definitely going to do this.
I give it 79%.
79%.
As you do with everything.
You don't really do many card tricks, do you?
No.
I realised that the other day. I watched you do a 40-minute show and 2 hours of close-up magic, and you didn't do a single card trick.
Not a card in sight.
You're not a card in sight. You don't really do many card tricks, do you?
No.
You should give back your magician card and feel ashamed, even though you know a mem deck.
True.
I
gotta say, I only really use cards in close-up and that. I don't actually do close-up that often because I do like doing stage more.
You do stage shows more than close-up, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
79% from you. I knew you wouldn't give it over 79%. I knew you wouldn't do it. But I'm going to do this. I think this is 90%. It's very good. 90% from me, 79% from Ryland. Let's move on with the next trick.
Yep.
So next up we have the Bammo Backtrack Jack. The Bammo Backtrack Jack. And this is by Bob Farmer. An in-the-hands routine, 6 visual effects, perfect for walk around. Each card examines instant resets. So yeah, there's a lot to this. When you get the download off Murphy's, because there's a link to the Murphy's site, when you go onto Murphy's and you get the download, it's not a video, it's a very nicely produced PDF with lots and lots of photos that explains everything with a fine-tooth comb, and you follow it along. There's a lot of moves in there. Nothing's difficult, but there's a lot going on. It took a while for me to memorize this. It took a while for me to get the sequence down because there's a lot in play. It's easy, but there's a lot in play, a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to show you a performance of it before we go any further. Let's have a look at performance of the Bammo Backtrack Jack. So, Ryan, this is called the 3-card trick. Do you have any idea, Ryan, why it's called the 3-card trick?
Because there's 3 cards.
Correct, there's 3 cards. Now, this is kind of an interesting version of the 3-card trick because all the cards are the same. You see, this one here is a Jack of Hearts, this one here is a Jack of Hearts, and this one here is a Jack of Hearts. We've actually got 3 Jack of Hearts. This one here is Jack of Hearts number 1, this one here is Jack of Hearts number 2, and this one here is Jack of Hearts number 3. Okay. The idea is, with the 3-card trick, you normally have 3 cards that are different, and you follow the odd one out, and if you get it right, you win. Okay. But because they're all Jack of Hearts, we have to do this differently. I'm going to take one of the Jack of Hearts and turn it face up in the middle of the other 2. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Now, all you have to do is tell me, is the Jack of Hearts top, middle, or bottom?
Middle.
No, you see it's at the bottom. You probably missed the move. Most people do. That's absolutely fine. I'll put it back in the middle. You see, the Jack of Hearts is in the middle. This time, I'll just take the cards and put them on the table. You know the answer, Ryland. Top, middle, or bottom? It's middle, right?
Yeah.
You know it's middle.
Yeah.
But it's actually on the bottom, you see. You missed the move. Most people miss the move. It's absolutely fine that you missed the move. It's not a problem that you missed the move. But a lot of people do miss the move. Now, to make it a little bit easier for you, this time what I'll do is I'll show you the jack in the middle. Do you see that jack right there?
Yeah.
If I give it a little twist, is the jack in the middle face up or face down?
Face up.
No, it's face down. You probably missed the move. Let me explain how that move works. You see, what happens is you start off with all of the jacks face up like that. So the first one, the second one, the third one, they're all face up, right? Yeah. And then you show the one in the middle. This is the move. You see, when you do the move, you turn it face down. You probably can't see that I turned it face down, but I did turn it face down. Now, the other thing that you need to know, and this is very, very important, is that I'm lying to you. You see, I'm lying to you because there are no jack of hearts here. The reason there are no jack of hearts here is because these are special cards. When I press the button in the middle, you see that the cards go back to what they normally are, which is cards with backs on both sides. That one has a back on both sides. That one has a back on both sides. And this one over here has a back on both sides. You see, what we have now is we have 3 cards with backs on both sides. This one here is card number 1, and as you can see, it's got a back on both sides. This one over here is card number 2, and as you can see, it's got a back on both sides. And this one over here is card number 3, and as you can see, it's got a back on both sides. So the question is, what have the cards got on the fronts of the backs? They got the backs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know they got backs. Until I snap my fingers and you see now this one is actually a jack. This one's a jack. Well, the thing is, they're all jacks. Because that's the thing. You see, I lied to you. All these cards have got jacks on both sides. This is jack number 1. You can see it's just a jack. Touch it, feel it. It is just a jack, isn't it? That one there is jack number 1. This one over here is jack number 2. Touch it, feel it. It's just a jack. And this one over here, this one is jack number 3. Touch it, feel it. You see, that's all we've got. We've just got 1, 2, 3 jacks. There are no cards with backs on both sides. I lied to you. And that is the miracle of the 3-card trick. So there you go. That's Bammo Backtrack Jack.
Yep.
The cards that come with it are really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you do that trick all the time. You keep it in your wallet, don't you, as your EDC. The Ian Bailey trick.
Yeah.
Who, what, where, or something like that.
Yeah.
The 3-card Monty type thing, and I've seen you do that. Even though you don't do many cards, you do that.
I do the 1-card Monty.
Yeah, that's what I meant. 1-card Monty.
1-card Monty by Ian Bailey.
Yeah, I love that trick.
Yeah.
This reminds me a little bit of 1-card Monty.
Yeah.
But there's more moves to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on with this. Nothing difficult.
I know what's going on, like I know what's going on, but it does look very hard. I know what's going on and what is happening. It just looks very hard.
It's not that hard. It's not difficult, really, per se.
It looks
but
like there
there's
is a lot
so
of phases.
much to remember. Yeah, it's like, right,
there's a lot
okay,
of phases.
first of all, I have to do an eye count, then I have to do a frustration count, then I have to flip that over, then I have to do a through the fist flourish, then I have to flip that card into that position, that card into that position. And a couple of times when I've done it, I'm like, hang on, where am I supposed to go now? What am I meant to do now? Also, it is true, the statement they make here on the back, each card examined. That is very true. It's a bit ambiguous because at the end, the cards can't be examined. What they do is they give, at the end of the trick, he suggests giving the jacks to the spectator one at a time. And in the action of giving the jacks to the spectators one at a time, there's a switch. So that as he puts the cards away, they feel like they've examined every card. But you couldn't just do this and go, and you can examine the cards because they couldn't examine the cards. Outside of that, it's a fun routine. I'll be honest, I'm not going to do it. There's a few different 3-card tricks that I do. I don't do 1-card Monty, although I love it. I think you do it really well. I tend to do stand-up Monty. I tend to do the corner of Piccadilly. Sometimes I'll do the Skinner 3-card Monty. And I think that those 3 are probably a little bit better than this, at least for me. I do think this is a good routine, though. Don't get me wrong. I do think this is good. But I just don't think it's the sort of thing that I'm going to do in my act. And like Ryland said earlier on, if it's something that we won't do, but we like it, the highest mark we can give it is 79%. I'm going to give this 79%.
I might give it, I think I'm going to give it 90%.
You can do this.
I don't know. I'm going to give it 80.
80, so you are going to give it a go. Play around with it.
Yeah.
You didn't think you were going to do 1-card Monty, but then when you started doing it, you just couldn't stop doing it. You have it in your wallet and you do it all the time. You've got to have, I think we've got 15 different versions of 1-card Monty in every single wallet that you own. So, maybe you will, maybe you won't. There's no difficult moves in there. It's an eye count. It's a through the fist flourish. It's a frustration count. It's very, very simple stuff. But there's a lot to remember. It's the sort of thing that once you've learnt it, if you don't do it regularly, you'll go to pick it up and try and do it, and you'll fail miserably at it because you can't remember the sequence. So it's something that if you do decide to learn, you're probably going to have to learn and do an awful lot. But it's 80% from Ryland, it's 79% from me. If you're looking for a fun packet trick, this is absolutely a good one to go to. As you know, Bob Farmer's an incredible magician.
He is.
So yeah, let's move on. Okay, so next up we have the Perro Verde by Mario Lopez, and this is another one by Card Shark. And the card warp reinvented by the crazy mind of Spanish FISM award winner Mario Lopez. I want to preface this by we both think that Mario Lopez is amazing, don't we?
Yeah.
Mario is an incredible magician. We saw him at the session last year, and we thought he was hilarious. He was the highlight of the gala show for us. And as far as I'm concerned, the guy is a god. You know, he's incredible, which is why he's a FISM winner, right? I bring that up because I have reservations on this trick, and I'll explain why in a bit. But first of all, I'm going to give you a frame of reference. So I'm going to do a performance of this to camera, show you exactly what it is and what it can do, and then we're going to talk about it. It's basically a reinvention of card warp. It actually says here, from the warped mind of Mario Lopez, he's pumped steroids into the ageless classic by Roy Walton. It begins with two folded cards a la card warp, and one reverses itself several times. This is where the similarity ends, and then it goes into a whole bunch of other stuff. So before we go any further, I'm going to do a performance of this. Let's have a look at it, and then I'll talk about what we think. Right, I've got a two cards. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I've got a red card. Oh, well, this is a red back card. Let me show you. It's a red back card. It's a 7. And I've got a blue back card, and it's a joker. One's bent one way, one's bent the other way, yeah? Would you like to see a good trick or a miracle? It's your choice.
Miracle.
Okay. So if I'm going to do a miracle, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to take the red back card and put it face down there. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It's inside the blue card. Now I'm going to turn that face down card face up as I push it through the card. Watch. Very slowly as I push it through the card, it turns face up. How weird's that?
That's weird.
Now that's face up, isn't it? And I don't want you to think I'm cheating. I'm not. Look, if I open it up like this, you can see it's actually turned over. You can see face down, face up. How weird's that?
That's cool.
Now, if I do it again, I can do it again. Look, I'll push it through, and now it's face up. No, it's face down. I'm confused. Look, is it face down? Let's have a look. Let's open it up and check. Yes, it is face down. Look at that. Now that's kind of weird, right? Don't you think that's weird?
Yep.
Let's see if we can go one step further. Watch. I could keep doing this forever. If I push it through, it turns over like that. It turns face up. If I push it through again, it turns face down. I can even make it happen by magic. Watch. If I just do this, you can see it slowly starts to go across yourself, and when it does, it actually turns over. Now, I could keep doing this until I'm blue in the face. I could keep doing this forever and ever and ever, and I want you to see that it really is turning over. But the question is, would you like to see the big finish? Because every trick needs a big finish. Are you ready for this? Watch the big finish. If I snap my fingers one more time and push this card through, as I do, it turns blue, which is really weird. That card was red. I know that card was red, and it's now turned blue. It's kind of really weird, right? But I don't understand this. I don't understand that why, when I push it through again, it turns green. What? I mean, what? How is it green? Now it's green. It can't be green. That's impossible. You can't have a green card. But look, here it is. If I take it out, you can actually see that the card has now turned green right there inside. How weird's that? Don't you think that's weird? Would you like to know how it works? It's all an illusion. See, if I snap my fingers, the illusion breaks, and you can see this always has been a red back card. That has always been a blue back card, and the whole thing took place in your imagination. So that is Perro Verde, and it is true. It's like card warp on steroids, and one of the things that they use as a selling point is no torn card. So in other words, as soon as you've done it, you are reset, ready to do it again, which is true. One of the big pluses of this is that routine that you just saw. At the end of the routine, I'm ready to do that whole routine again if I want to. Yeah. You also get a nice little wallet to keep it in, which is kind of like a plasticky kind of switching wallet, because you get a regular 7 of hearts as well, so that if you want to, you can switch that 7 of hearts in at the end of the routine. You see, the trick can't be examined at the end. The 7 of hearts is very gimmicked. The Joker is not, but the 7 of hearts is very gimmicked. So they give you a regular 7 of hearts to switch in. And Mario talks in the tutorial. The tutorial is about 30 minutes long. And in the tutorial, Mario talks about various different ways of switching the 7 of hearts at the end. Like you can use lapping. He talks about lapping. He talks about a bunch of different ways. I think that at the end of the routine, that's the worst time to do a switch. He thinks that you shouldn't do a switch. He thinks that, you know, at the end of it, just put the cards away, which is fair. My issue with it is I just don't think it's as good as the original Card Warp for a few different reasons.
Yeah.
I think that it's a little bit too clever for its own good. And I don't want to sit here and diss Mario Lopez. I mean, he's a FISM winner. I've never even entered FISM, let alone won FISM, so I can't sit here on my high horse and talk about how Mario Lopez, Lopez's trick isn't very good. And but the bottom line is, I do not think, as a Magic reviewer, this is as good as Card Warp, the original Roy Walton Card Warp, and I'll tell you for why. First of all, I think a lot of the stuff that's added with the back changing and the front changing and stuff like that, I think that's not really needed. I think that's kind of overkill. I think that the moment that for me solidifies Card Warp is that moment where you've got half the card face up, half the card face down, and you tear it down the middle and immediately let them see that half of it's face up and half of it's face down. I think that's the moment. You don't get this in this routine. Also, let's not forget, Card Warp are 2 regular cards. Well, okay, one is slightly prepared, which you can do the preparation in 10 seconds. And by the way, I do Card Warp a lot. I tend to use the Darwin Ortiz handling of having a Card Warp deck. So I can just literally go through the deck, take out 2 cards, and I can go into it. But the thing with Card Warp is it's very unprepared. So I can have the 2 cards, I can go into the routine, I'm ready to go into it whenever I want to. And Card Warp is completely angle proof. Once I've got those cards in position, yeah, I can do some advanced displays if I want to, but I don't have to. I can just have the card turn over, turn over, turn over, and then tear and have everything is examinable. Immediately everything's examinable. And I think that's important. I'm sorry I'm talking a lot. It's because I've got a point to make here. I think that that's important. When you tear and you immediately hand the cards out for examination, I think this trick is so impossible that people are going to want to examine it. And the fact that you can't hand that card out immediately for examination, I think that's an issue. I really do. Also, the angles on this are not very good at all, because at no point can people look from behind, because there is so much going on from behind that at no point can you look at the cards from behind. And also there's moments where you're having to operate secret stuff. I don't want to say what, but there's moments where you have to operate secret stuff, and that can be quite angle prone as well if you're not careful. I've been practicing this quite a lot, and we had to do a couple of takes for this today, didn't we? Because you know, it didn't look as good as it could have looked. And I'd be very nervous doing this in the real world. I could do Card Warp inside out, back to front, left, wide, sideways. And I've got various different versions of Card Warp that I'm happy to do in the real world. But this, I would really worry about doing. And you've got to kind of ask yourself, if you're going to do a variation on a trick that you already do, you have to ask yourself, what do you have to, what's the negative and what's the positive? Well, the positive with this is there's a couple of nice displays, but I can get those same displays with the original Card Warp. And so realistically, the only finale, the only moment that really adds to this is the fact that the card turns blue and then turns green and then turns back to red, which is nice. But as I say, it just comes very left field.
Yeah.
You don't need that moment. Yeah. I would much rather just have the moment where it's half face up, half face down, you tear it, you have the cards signed, they sign the cards, they examine the cards, they sign the cards, you do the thing, you tear and you immediately give it out to them. I think for the trade-off that you need, and the trade-off is with this routine, you got to use 2 prepared cards that are very, very gimmicked. The cards can't be examined at the beginning. The cards can't be examined at the end. And it's very, very angly. And it's a lot harder than the original Card Warp. That's the trade-off. What do you get in return? A couple of colour changes. which I think means that the cards are going to want to be examined even more.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute, where did that blue card come from? Where did that green card come from? Let me look at that red card. Well, you can't, unless I do a switch at precisely the wrong time that a switch needs to be done. So as much as I love Mario Lopez, and I do love Mario Lopez, I think this is a step backwards when it comes to card warp. And I have about 6 or 7 versions of card warp I do, and maybe I should do a Hows and Whys of card warp. But I don't think this adds that much to the plot. I think this is a step backwards from a methodology point of view. I think this is a step backwards from a presentation point of view, because it just becomes convoluted, and I don't think it adds anything. I will add a caveat that I think that Mario Lopez makes it look really great, but Mario Lopez makes anything look really great. You know, and that's just a fact. The guy's a genius. But I just don't think this is the best trick ever to be released. I think there's a lot more that Mario does that's a lot better than this trick. So I'm not a big fan. I'm going to stick to the original card warp. I'm going to give this 40%. What about you?
Same.
40%.
I was actually thinking that.
Because you do card warp, don't you? So, I mean, I know you don't do many card tricks, but you do card warp. So, yeah, 40% from you.
Yeah.
40% from Ryland, 40% from me. It's all right. It's all right. It's not bad. But it's not great. So next up, we have Card Castle by Blake Vogt, one of your favourite magicians of all time. He's all about the Blake, It's all about the Blake. The Card Castle routine is basically a flash production of a card castle from a deck of cards. Now, you put a video up on Instagram a couple of weeks ago of you doing this, which blew up, as most of your Instagram videos do. So we're going to play Ryland's Instagram video so you can have a look at what that looked like. Let's have a look at Ryland performing this on Instagram a week or 2 ago.
My dad used to tell me how he used to make card towers when he was a kid. He wasn't a magician then, but I'm going to show you how fast I can make a card tower, because I'm a magician. And look, it's going to happen on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, just like that. And that is how fast I can make a card tower, just like.
So that's Card Castle. Now, what you have there is a bare bones presentation. You're going to be putting a few other videos up on this, aren't you? You can do a lot more with it. I mean, Blake goes through a very simple 15-minute tutorial that explains how the card castle is constructed, how you reset it, how you do it. It covers absolutely everything. But the bottom line is, this is a wonderfully made prop. It allows you to just do that. Boom, you just do that and you have a card castle up here. And if you want to, you can use a signed card. So you can have the card shuffled at the beginning if you want. So you can have the card shuffled, you can have someone pick a card, they can sign it, it's lost into the pack, and then immediately you do this, and their signed card is there, sort of hanging from the front of the card castle, which looks really good as well. So you can use it as a card revelation. I was speaking to a friend who was putting a super, I'll tell you who it is, William, from OMG Magic, who's an incredible magician. William's great. And he's putting together a routine that involves superheroes, and I suggested to him doing this because you could talk about the Flash, and you could say, well, the Flash is the fastest human being in the world. How fast do you think it would take you to make a card castle? Oh, it'd probably take you hours, right? Because it's very difficult to do. I have the same powers as the Flash. I can do it in 1 second. Watch this. Drunk. I think doing that would be great in a kid's show. Can you imagine that? Who knows what this is? A deck of cards. Who thinks they can make a card castle? You could even have a competition. You could have 2 tables on stage. One for you, one for the kid that's helping you. And you bring the kid up and you say, you've got a deck of cards, I've got a deck of cards. You've got to make a card castle, I've got to make a card castle. You've only got to make one little bit. You just have to do one V. I have to do a whole castle. If I get my castle before you get your V, you win a prize. You go, fdunk, and then you just do yours, and they're just there. I think that could be quite funny on stage. I think that would be a really funny presentation. I think there's a lot you can do with this. Obviously, it's great for social media. It resets almost instantly. It's really well made. It fits all inside a card box. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great. I plan on doing this in a few different ways. I know you want to put it in your stage show. I want to put it in my stage show. I probably wouldn't do it close up. It's not cheap. As is nothing that Blake produces, it's not cheap, but looks amazing.
Yeah.
Looks really, really good. Very well made. No idea how he made this because this is killer. I'm going to do this. I really like the whole idea of the presentation with 2 tables. I think that'd be really cool. Very, very funny. Yeah, I think this could fit into most people's shows. It's very different, very unique, very good. I'm going to give it 95%. What about you?
Yeah.
Have you forgotten how to speak?
No, I'm going to give it 97.
97%. 97% from Ryland.
It is like really cool.
It's very good, isn't it?
It is very cool.
So 97% from Ryland, 95% from me. There we go. That's review 4. We're going to finish off with one final review, which is a kind of a re-release. Let's have a look at that one right now. So the final routine today, we have Alpha to Omega by Big Blind Media and Stephen Tucker. And it says here at the bottom, one of the greatest packet tricks ever created and bicycle cards included. Now, this has only just recently come out through all magic dealers via Murphy's Magic. But it's a re-release. This was part of a bigger project many, many years ago. And kind of got lost in obscurity because the project it was part of was a bigger thing. I'm really glad that it's got its own sort of product now, because this is a perfect example of a hidden gem. If this hadn't just been re-released, this is the sort of thing that I do on the Hidden Gem series on Magic TV. Because it is a great packet trick. It reminds me a little bit of Twisted Sisters, that sort of thing, Duality. It's completely examinable though. It's an instant reset and everything's examinable at the end of the routine. You're not taking anything away. You're not adding anything. It's very, very strong, very, very baffling. There is a little bit of sleight of hand, but nothing too difficult. If you haven't seen it, we're going to do a full performance of it right now, let you see exactly what it's like, and then we're going to talk about why it's so good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got 8 cards here.
Okay.
Now, the 8 cards that I've got, there's 2 sets of 8s. We've got clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, 2 sets of 8s. I'm not going to show you this set of 8s right away. And the reason is I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to put these underneath the table. I don't want you to look. Okay. And I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to turn one of these over. Right, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I've made a prediction. I've turned one of those over, right? Okay. I'm not going to show you which one. I'll put them right there, but I've turned one over. Now, the other 8s, I'm going to show you the difference. With this packet, I'm going to give you an example of sleight of hand. With this packet, I'm going to show you mind reading, okay? Yeah. So I'm going to take these 8s, I'm going to put them underneath the table. And now they're underneath the table, I can't see them. With feel, I'm going to do this. This is very difficult. Name an 8.
The 8 of hearts.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, the 8 of hearts would be there. I'm done. Okay. Do you know what I managed to do? With sleight of hand, I actually managed to turn the 8 of hearts face down. Are you impressed? What do you mean you're not impressed? I didn't look at the packet of cards. I put them under the table. You could have picked any 8 and I turned it face down without looking. How are you not impressed?
Because you had the cards, they're all face up. You could see them. You put them on the table. Let me know my card. And you could have turned
But I did it really fast. It's very hard. Okay, you're obviously not impressed with sleight of hand. Maybe you'll be more impressed with mind reading. Do you remember I said I made a prediction there? Yeah. I actually turned one card over, and the card I turned over was the 8 of hearts, which was the card that you named.
That's better.
Now, that's slightly better, isn't it? The fact that I was able to predict what card you named. But I'm still a bit annoyed. Why? I'm not a mind reader. I'm a magician. You should be more impressed with the sleight of hand skills. Look at this. I can do stuff like that. I'm amazing. So let me do something more impressive. Look, I'll take this this 8 of hearts, yeah? Yeah. I'll snap my fingers and I'll make that turn one turn blank. What? I'll even go further. I'll flick the other 3 8s and I'll turn them into the red 8s. So these cards have got red backs. This one's got the only one with the blue back and it's vanished. And just in case you're wondering about these cards over here, well, I knew you'd pick an 8 of hearts because you see the 8 of hearts is the only one with a red back. These other cards are blank. The 8 of hearts was the only card that you could have picked. Everything was a foregone conclusion. And Rylands, you can examine everything. So that's a really full, accurate performance. And when you first saw this, it pretty much fooled you, didn't it? You caught a couple of the moves, but you couldn't really work out the sequence. And I do love that it builds. So you start off with this really rubbish trick of, look, I turned over the diamond or whatever it is. And you go, well, that's not very good really, is it, mate? That's not very good. And then you go, well, look at my prediction. Look at this card, look at this card, look at these cards, look at these cards. It just gets better and better and better. Now, you don't need a table. There's no table required. Obviously, I know I was putting my hands under the table, but the guys, Liam Montier, who does the performance and the explanation of this, along with Stephen, does a great job. He suggests doing it with your hands behind your back. So you take the cards and you put them behind your back instead of underneath the table.
Yeah,
I think
that's clever.
Yeah, I think sitting behind the table. If you're sitting behind the table, I think under the table will work. But if you're standing up, do it behind your back. Obviously, it's got a really nice hook. That whole. I'm going to give you an example of the difference between mind reading and magic. I think that's really cool. Very easy to do as well. There is one move that you might not be comfortable with, but it's covered completely by misdirection, so it's totally not a problem. But the moment where all of this happens, it's really strong and hard hitting. The tutorial is very well done. Stephen is obviously an incredible teacher of magic, as is Liam. Put the two of them together and you've got gold. Yeah, I mean, this is great. Yeah. I have actually been doing this for years and I will continue to do it. I really think this is a great trick, which is why I'm going to give it 92%. I love this. I wouldn't say it's the greatest packet trick of all time, but I think it's really good.
I'm going to give it 98.
98% from Ryland.
Really.
It is, yeah. So 98% from Ryland, 92% from me. If you're looking for a really good packet trick, this is the one to go for. It's a really good packet trick. Now let's wrap this up.
Yeah. That's another review show in the back. That's another review show in the back. That's another review show in the back.
That is another review show in the back, Ryland. Thank you very much for joining us right here on
Magic TV.
Absolutely. Now, guys, don't forget, if you want to join the Netrix, here we go. You can go to
www.thenexttricks.cookies.
Yes, www.thenettricks.cookies. When he says cookies, he means .com, but whatever. If you haven't already, follow Ryland. He's on over 15,000 Instagram followers. He's on over 1,000 YouTube subscribers. And his Facebook channel is popping as well right now. So make sure you follow Ryland on all the social media platforms. If you want to follow me as well, that's great. I am Craig Petty, Magic TV. We will be back again next Wednesday with another review show. And stick around because at 9 o'clock tonight, we've got Hidden Gems. But thank you once again for joining me and Ryland. I'm Craig.
I'm Ryland.
We will see you again very, very soon right here on Magic TV. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.